Hey, it's me. Yes. Welcome back to the village. And it is almost 7 in the morning, um, Eastern time in Jersey. And I alluded to what I was going to be talking about in this live stream on my last live stream, but I said I wasn't going to get too much into the details because my primary focus was mixing my song. Um, so I did that. And yeah, so I said on my other live stream that I was going to be performing. Yes, a few days ago. Um, and the thing is, I took my cat with me because I've been wanting to like her with me, like and just like take her out the house a bit, just because like she's been in this house for a very long time, and she's an indoor cat, so it's understandable. And I mean, from time to time, we'll like be outside. I mean, it's winter right now, but on days when it's not cold, she'll come out on the deck and and I think she's fine, like, exploring the backyard and whatnot. She knows her way home, and she knows where the food is, so there's that. Um, so I trust that she wouldn't stray too far away. And plus, like, I keep an eye on her to make sure she's alright, but then at the same time, like, I trust that she's not gonna, like, do anything crazy. So, I've been wanting to, just bring Angie along with me, cause like, people do that with dogs. Like, I get it, cats are different animals or whatever, but, I just I know for me personally as a human being, there's so much world to see, and I enjoy travel. I just haven't had the, like, time and, like, finances to do so the way I've wanted to. But maybe that's just me putting, like, my own limitations and then plus, like, other factors around my life. And so when it comes to like music and performing, I mean, if my life were like the Truman Show, you probably think like, what's the point? You have no chance of having a successful career. Who's gonna want to see you perform? Who's gonna want to hear what you have to say aside from you being on the Truman Show? Well, I was given the sticker gift of music, and I enjoy making music, and I always have. And I think two of the things to me that I feel like can save lives are music and laughter. So I try to do both. Um, and I don't always get it right, but hey, whatever. I get up and try again. Um, so I was looking to perform, and I wanted to challenge myself to travel outside of just performing in Philadelphia, which is um, a city that I've always considered to be like a second home to me. I went to college there. I had a family there, and so much of my life was shaped in Philly, and I love that city. I've always enjoyed that city, and but and I've always wanted to live there. But in recent years, it's like changed my perspective, and I didn't want to just like limit myself to being in this one area of like the tri-state area, East Coast. Like I wanted to like push myself to travel and perform elsewhere and perform in new places and new audiences and like face fears of you know because I've had perform like I haven't performed in a long time, but one of the last times I've performed was like last year, and I was performing at nursing homes, and that was even a peculiar experience in itself again. Is like that thing of like, you're here to perform, but we're here to make Truman Show references. But whatever. Either way, I wanted to challenge myself to do this anyway. And so I'm going up like upstate New York. And, I have a lot of things like packed because I have I'm a creative and I have elaborate ideas of what my set can be like. Um and and things that represent me. And I wanted to showcase those things. Like not only and plus like I'm a one woman show. So like I film myself as well as have instruments to perform and, in costumes and in a look to play. And not only that, but like to build the aesthetic of the set. So I have a lot of stuff with me. And I have Angie with me because she is an emotional support animal and I can bring her with me. So, and like I said, I just wanted to bring her out the house a little bit and like have her travel and see the world, even though like I had her like in my little carrier for her. Just because like this was my first time like traveling like a bit of a distance with her. So I was just like, okay, let's see how this would go first. And then, maybe the more um comfortable she is, then, maybe I'll like take her out the carriage and let her just like sit and, whatever. So I'm driving. And already like it's really tough moving in silence. So and then there's that thing of like if people are trying to tell you to go one way, you should probably go the other way. But I'm already aware, like I'm kind of like 10 steps ahead and knowing that regardless of direction, there's going to be some type of challenge. So there's moments where I'm just like, look, I'm just gonna go this way. I'm gonna book this show over here. And and it's probably gonna be a challenge because I've never been there before. I don't know this area. And but I still want to fight for my dreams. So I do that. And, I pick a few cities to decide where I'm gonna travel. And then I picked one and went. So I'm driving in New York and it was cool. I mean, there was things that I was expect, like interesting driving licenses because I'm in a different state, so driving licenses or license plates rather. License plates are different, in these areas. And it's different types of cars and roads and stuff like that. And um so I mean, I was already kind of like expecting that. And plus I was like traveling earlier in the day, so I'm like, want to make sure whatever. So, I noticed these things and I'm like, all right, just like, trust the path. And and then, I knew that along the highway there's gonna be like rest stops or service areas is technically what they're called. I'm used to calling them rest stops because that's what my dad would call them when he would travel or when I would travel with him. And it's just so interesting, like having full circle moments of like just certain things that I would see as a kid, um, or hear him say, or and just like different things that he like ingrained in me, and then seeing it transpire years later, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably what he meant. Like for example, side note, when he would lock and unlock his car, he would always put the key to his head like this. I always wonder why he would do that. And I'm like, the remote works any kind of way. Like, it doesn't matter. And he was like, oh, it helps to signal better or something like that. I'm like, okay. And I think for a period of time, like I would do that, but then like I stopped because it wasn't a reason to, but I felt like, I don't know, maybe he was kind of like trying to condition me to do that. And I guess in ways like in families that like happens naturally, where you look at the elders and you look at the adults and how they operate and do things. And they teach you these things. And then you get old enough to a point where you realize like, I don't I don't need to do that. And not just because like times change, so it might be obsolete and it might be more analog, their way of doing things and technology is different. But just because like you start to become your own person and you realize a lot of the first like formidable years of your life, you're becoming who your parents are raising you to be, right? And you might have like your personality and your quirks and your interests and stuff like that, but a lot of those years you're just adapting to your environment, whether it's your school, your friends, your family, you know, your your culture, the town that you live in. Like these are all things that are like ingrained in you, and it ultimately becomes like your um sense of self until you get older and wake up and realize like, okay, like this is a part of me, like this is a part of my culture. In terms of like being from Trenton, New Jersey, being a Jersey girl, we don't we don't pump our own gas. But then at some point you realize like, okay, Jersey isn't the only place in the world. And at some point I'm gonna have to learn how to pump my own gas. And then that's a side note. Anyway, so but I'm just saying, like, in the journey of life, in that trip, I was realizing, like, wow, there's certain things that was going on in my childhood that was preparing for a moment like this. So I'm driving, and I get to a rest stop, and I really wasn't trying to spend money like that. 'Cause, I gotta save. I'm an independent artist, just trying to perform and whatnot. But I already knew like trying to stay up, but I already knew that there's like, when you fight for your dreams, you it's inevitable to expect that there's going to be some type of pushback. And and then even with the ways that you try to fight that back, I try to challenge myself to not be so resistant to help, but at the same time you do have to have your guard up because you don't know who's for you and who's not. And even though it seems like there are like everybody isn't against you, and I know that. Like I know like everybody isn't against me. I know there's people who are excited to hear my music. They're excited to see me win. And but when you're a solo independent artist and it's just me and my cat, you know, um it's like it's tough because you hope to like that there's more people out in the world than just what you interact with. And so, like, you hope for the best and hope, like, okay, maybe I just like happen to run into somebody that's just not an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, there's kind people in the world. There's people who will do simple things to help. Like, if you are in a pickle and you need help, there's people to help. And I try to be that. I try to like if I see that I can help somebody, then I would try to help somebody because I know there's many a times where although I would just do it by myself, help would be nice. And But I know at the same time I have to be sharp and I have to be smart and know that like I have to keep my guard up because I am a woman and I'm a black woman. And again, I'm like traveling upstate New York, so, and I don't know these areas. So, and I know that with the climate of the world right now, but at the same time, I can't let that stop me. I can't let that hold me back because I have this gift of song and music, and I just want to share that with the world. And yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'm in this service area, and I'm like, okay, I don't think this is the place for me. So we just going, take a break and let Angie chill for a little bit, give her some time out the bag or whatever, and then get back on the road because I have a dream to fight for. So I'm on the road and I'm traveling, and I see that there's like warning signs to storm. And I'm aware that there would be a storm, like I'd heard about it, but I didn't know like it specifically in what area. And that was my own like mistake in terms of like not being thorough and checking that. But I was just goal driven. I was just like, look, I got a goal, I got somewhere to be, I got this show to do. So I'm getting to the show. And for a period of time, like my GPS was being really funny and rerouting and stuff like that. And mind you, I'm driving. And like I said in my last live stream, I listen to my own music in the car because I try to hear my music in different listening experiences versus like on the phone versus on the computer versus in headphones versus in the car. So it gives me a sense of like the things that I need to tweak and edit when I eventually like mix all the songs, which was very helpful for me yesterday because in mixing, um, breaking out the house, I had better insight because of my experience driving. Um, so I'm listening to my music. And, the interesting thing about like, and this is where I'll get into like the spiritual stuff. It's interesting where like sometimes you see like even if you're listening to the radio, so what you're listening to is something that you're controlling. But it's interesting to see sometimes how like you ever listen to the song in the radio and then what's being described in the song you're seeing in your outer reality. Um, and I feel like several things could be happening there. One, if you're like living in a Truman Show like reality, and you have people like expecting certain moves on their certain billboards in certain places and stuff like that, which is like of course like the most obscure experience. Like most people don't have those experiences, so like why would you expect that? Um, but then sometimes it could be spiritual. Sometimes it could be like you getting a message from the divine, or you could be getting spiritual just from someone trying to like interfere with your journey to your dreams. And it's really a game of discernment. And, and mind you, I have like a lot on my mind at this time because I'm like focused on the goal, focused on the getting where I need to go. And I got Angie with me. So I'm like, and there's moments where like this is new experience for her. Like she wants to get out back. She wants to see what's going on. And at the same time, it's like it's a unfamiliar territory for both of us. And so I'm trying to like be mindful of that. Like I'm being a cat mom while um going to this performance. So I get in this area that um I realized that I started to get out of um the path I took the wrong way. And so like, okay, I gotta get back on in the right direction. And so I reroute GPS. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to use it the whole time because I got to save my battery. So let me just get in a vicinity of an area that I know would put me in the right direction to the show. So I'm using GPS and I'm listening to my music and then it's rerouting. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So and mind you, I don't know these areas, but I know like I'm just like, okay, I'm not that far from where I'm trying to go. So let me at least just try to like get in that area. And if I gotta like chill somewhere overnight or whatever the case may be, um, because the show isn't till like the next day. So like I wanted to at least have enough time to like get where I needed to go and then be able to like have the time to like, settle and get my costume and stuff together, run through the set list and all those things. Um, so I'm in the area. Well, I'm trying to get to an area. And of my phone is being fucking ridiculous and like rerouting and all these things. And I knew it was gonna be an issue because like the service isn't that great. Um, and I don't care for this company right now. Um, but I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do to get where I need to go. And and I think like once I get to this area, I'll be good. Like I feel I'll know how to whatever. So I saw the warning signs about the snowstorm, right? But it was saying, but my like I was thinking I was gonna get to my destination, so it wouldn't be along my path. You know what I'm saying? Because it was saying it would be like until like later on and until the next day. And I'm like, I should be where I'm trying to go before then, so that wouldn't be in my way. But of course, with all the rerouting things, right? That probably um led me to that. So it starts to snow. And it's snowing. But I'm like maybe like at this point, maybe like an hour away from where I'm trying to go. And the snow isn't that bad at the time, like where I am. So I'm like, all right, I should be able to get where I'm trying to go. I have decent like my car is all-wheel drive. So and the funny thing is like when I first started looking at cars like years ago, before I then like mind you, it was always so frustrating like in high school because I was one of the last people to learn how to drive because I didn't have like an extra car at my house to drive. And most of my friends had like two parent households, or if not two parents, there was multiple cars. So the only person that had a car at the time was my dad. And then while I was in high school, my cousin started living with us, and then she eventually got a car. But it's not like there was still an extra car for me to drive. And so, and I always wanted my driver's license, but you know, it was like, what car do I have to practice on? So, yeah. Side note. But anyway, I say that to say, like, back then when I was looking into cars, I always wanted a car that was like a crossover or something with all-wheel drive. I don't know why that was a thing that I always wanted, but I just always imagined like because I never really liked the little cars. You know, I just always felt like I mean they get you where you need to go, but I just always felt like a more medium-sized car more so fit me because I'm small and I like to feel like safe and protected. And and I feel like most people would want to feel that way. Like we all want to be safe. We all want to be protected when we're driving. And I'm not like crazy about trucks or anything like that, but I know like I could whip and get where I need to go. So anyway, so I'm like, no, I got all-wheel drive. I'm gonna get where I need to go. So it's snowing, and GPS is like, all right, you about like an hour away from where you're trying to get to. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I see like there's a few exits, it's like the exit that I'm supposed to get off on is B1. And I'm like, okay, that should be easy to remember. Um, and so at that point, I'm not sure exactly where I was at that time, but there was a few exits that was like, prior to that, like B2, B3, B4, B5, B6. And and so, but I'm like going the opposite direction. So it's starting from B6 and leading up to B1. And and mind you, as I'm driving, snow is slowly but surely starting to build up. And I'm not like the only car on the road. There's other cars that's like zooming by me and all these things. And but I'm taking my time though a little bit because I'm like, I'm not gonna rush it because like I have all my like equipment with me. I got Angie, and I don't want to like rush. I want to take my time and make sure like, all right, regardless, like I'm being safe. So I'm driving. And slowly but surely, like I'm approaching up the B exits. And I was gonna get off earlier, but I was like, I'm not that far. But you know what? Because it's like it's really snowing, and I'm looking at the signs and everything, and I'm just like, all right, you know what? Maybe I should probably get off the road just because it's like the snow is really building up, and I just want to be safe. I just want to be smart, and I want to be safe. And so I'm like trying to get off on certain exits, and then there's like cars away and all this. I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm gonna get to the next exit. I eventually get off on um I think like it was something with like the rerouting and stuff like that. So I eventually get off on like B2. And so, but it turns me around and it brings me back the opposite direction. And because I think at that point I was looking up like the nearest like hotel or the nearest like inn or something like that. So like I'm going up the opposite direction, and every time it shows me like, okay, there's one that's like 10 minutes away. So I'm like, all right, cool. Then we'll just stop there and see, reroute and see what we can do. I get to the one that's 10 minutes away. Then it's like, oh, rerouting. Okay. And it mind you, at this point, like it's not like a whole lot, like it's not like inches of snow, but it's enough snow in the road where like you can only see it's like it's snow on the road, but if you drive along the tracks where other cars have driven, you should be fine. But I know the exits are starting to accumulate. Like there's at least maybe like an inch of snow on the exits. And so I'm like, all right, I know when I turn and get to these exits, I'm gonna have to be real careful. Because even when I was driving on the main road and I would like get off like the tracks where people had already driven, it would be a little like stuck. So I'm like, all right, I gotta be straight. And I know when I get off one of these exits, I gotta be really careful. And so every time I was trying to get off on an exit, my tires would like do this weird shit and it would like lock up a little bit. And mind you, you know, I'm not in the area that I'm familiar with. I got Angie with me. I'm just trying to get where I'm trying to go. And, you know, I will say like I should have did my own due diligence of like checking the weather and all these things beforehand. But I was really just like excited to go to this show. And I know sometimes my device doesn't give me accurate information. So I was just like, look, I'm gonna just try to trust God on this one. And my baby's here comforting me. Thanks, Ange. Um, and so yeah, that's something that I will like completely like say, like, okay, I should have been better about that. I should have been more prepared in that regard. But sometimes, like in normal circumstances, I would be a lot more prepared. I would be more, you know, and I had been like, preparing um like days in advance. In normal circumstances, like if I had like a better equipment with me, then, I would have things. I'd have had like like a Airbnb or a hotel already booked and planned. And, I'd have, because like, all right, when my dad and we took a trip to Maine last year for his birthday. Not last year, the year before. Now I'm thinking about it. Year before last, because he went to vacation on my birthday. Is how I like to say it. Um, retire from the earthly show. And so the year before last, we went to Maine, and my dad told me to plan the trip, basically, like put it together. And so he wanted to go like lobster roll hopping. Basically, he wanted to go to Maine to try out different lobster rolls in the area. And so I planned the trip together. I'm like, all right, let me look up all the locations. Let me see where our Airbnb is. There were some locations that was south from the Airbnb, and then there were some locations that was north. And so I was like, all right, if we're there for a number of days, first day, um, if we get early enough, we could do the south trip because it's a shorter distance and we can get back to the Airbnb in time, and then we got enough time to like rest up and like chill for the night, and then prepare for the next day. And then the next day, if we get out early enough, we could do the north trip because we'll have enough time. It's a longer distance, but we can get out there, and maybe if you want to go like start at the furthest location and then work our way back down to the Airbnb. So like I know how to plan a trip, and it was efficient, and I was really good at it. And I was proud of myself because it was for my dad's birthday, and it was a trip where we all celebrated. And it was just him and I. And he wanted me to go, which, and mind you, I wasn't like working at the time, so like I couldn't really afford to get him something nice the way I would have wanted to. um Trip to Maine. I'm sure a trip to Miami would have been better, but now that about I'm thinking about a particular reference. Um, but here we are. Um, yeah, I took a trip to Maine with my dad, and I planned this thing well, and I was really proud of myself. And I was like, you know what? If planning a tour is like this, I think I would be good at it. And I was really like strategic about where I was going and all these things or whatever. And so I know like I have you know, that skill. But at the same time, when you don't have the best equipment, it's kind of hard to do that, to be as thorough as you want to be. And I know like trusted public devices isn't really the best because you don't know how safe those are either, And so I'm like, at this point, I'm just like, I'm trusting God. And I know that there's people that try to interfere with my interactions with God. And and I'm just hoping for the best. So anyway, I'm on the road. It's snowy, and it's snowy, and I'm scared because I'm by myself, which I'm used to being by myself. I mean, I got Angie with me, right? Um, and But Angie, she not gonna take the wheel when I need it. You know what I mean? Like she's a cat and she's relying on me ensuring that I'm gonna get us somewhere safe. And and she's just in this, this area, not knowing where we're going. And probably she's probably scared because we've been in this car for a while now. She's probably like, I tried to give her food and whatnot. She didn't really eat much, and I think mainly because it was like she was just, like, yeah, just probably it was unfamiliar territory. And I can imagine she was probably scared, and so was I. And I was trying to be strong for the both of us. She's here keeping me company. I think it's interesting how cat's eyes glow in the light. Um, at particular angles. Anyway, um, so I'm scared. I'm in the snowstorm, and I can be vulnerable enough to admit that I was, I'm just trying to perform at a show because it's all I've ever wanted to do. I the first time I challenged myself to get out of my comfort zone and really like try to go for my dream and perform on my own, and I don't have a team with me. I don't have like I'm not in a band where there's like people playing different instruments and stuff like that. I've done those before. It's I haven't really found the right people. So, I just do it on my own. And it's better that way for me. And so, I'm just on the road, just trying to like figure out where I can stop. And I see these signs that are like, lodging areas. And I'm like, okay. Some have lodging areas, some have lodging and food. And I'm like, okay, and each time I'm trying to get off an exit, my tires lock up and do this weird shit. But, even though I don't know this area and it's like I don't have anybody around me that I feel like I could probably trust, I'm like, all right, at least I know there's other cars here. So God forbid, like somebody's here. But then at the same time, it's like, who's to say I could even rely on those people? Because, I'm in upstate New York, I'm like, it's one thing for the people that might at the show, but it's another thing of like trusting the people in these areas. And I don't know these people, you know, and me being a black woman could be a very vulnerable thing. So, but I'm just like, all right, let me just try to like follow these cars because maybe these cars, I know even though the license plates are of a different state, I'm assuming the people that's driving in this area know where they are. So I'm gonna just try to like trust that. And, there gets to a point where my car kind of like glides off the road a little bit. And, like for a moment, I was just like, this might be it, you know. And I will say Angie definitely helped me um keep the faith. And it's so crazy because it reminds me of like the Truman Show where he's on boat. And mind you, he has this um manufactured trauma of boats because of his dad fake dying on a boat. And but it still had a real traumatic effect on him. And but he was in a space where he was facing that fear and for the sake of his freedom to get out of that weird ass town. And all he's ever wanted to do was like explore. And then of course, like in his story, there's that like love interest of the girl that he met in college. And, and the thing is, in his story, she was one of the more genuine people that was willing to actually tell him the truth of what was going on. And um and he hadn't like let go of that vision. My story is different, but you know, he and I mean, I think in his mind when he was spoiler alert, but whatever. Like the movies, I don't care to spoil movies that's been out for a long time. Um, he eventually works his way to this town that's basically a show for people, and people didn't expect him to, you know, hop on the boat because that was one of his greatest fears. And he faced his fear to say, I don't know where this boat is going to take me, but I'm going to get out of this place because I'm tired of living a lie. And the producers of the show cook up this storm. And it gets to a point where he almost lost his life. And he's on the show and he's like, "You're gonna have to kill me." I rebuke that. Um, but the fact that they was willing to like really put this man in a storm, you know, he survived the storm though. But yeah, the fight for freedom is a is a tough one, and I mean there was bound to be pushback, and I was you know, for me, I'm just fighting for my dreams. But I knew there was going to be some challenges. I wasn't naive to that. I'm aware of that, and I'm a pretty resilient person. So I knew, like, regardless, I was gonna try to not try. I was gonna push through anyway. But I know, like, I'm just one person. I'm up against like unfamiliar territories and the number of people. You know, and I feel like people don't think that way. Like you know, they. I feel like people don't have enough humility and empathy, and they say, "Oh, well, why didn't you do this? Why did you do that?" And I'm like, mind you, I'm like, I'm in a state of mind where I'm thinking like, yo, this might be over for me. To some people, it would be like a game or like a show or entertainment. I'm like, this is my real existence on earth, you know? This is my real existence. And she's so fucking annoying. I was like, I love her, but we tussle. And so I'm getting off on this exit. And mind you, it's like it's gotten dark at this point. So like it's really hard to see like the signs and everything. So it's like not only am I driving in snow, like it's dark. I don't know where I am. I'm just trying to like follow GPS to at least get to some type of like a hotel type of thing wherever the fuck I am. And basically GPS routing brings me to this pizza spot. And I'm just like, okay. And it's like, mind you, this isn't like one of those type of towns where like things are like kind of quaint. So they got like a firewood post outside. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And mind you, like this is the middle of a snowstorm. So I thought it was peculiar that this pizza place was open. But I'm like, all right, well, maybe if they got like Wi-Fi or something like that, or, you know, actually what it was that it said that there was the only reason why I was even over there was because it said that there was like a motel in that area that was open. And it looked like a motel like across the street or something like that, but it was a liquor store. So I'm just like, that's not gonna help me. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm at this pizza spot and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to like? Maybe something is supposed to be here. I don't know. This is the only place that's open. Maybe they know something. And there's this sign that's like, you got to pay something to use the bathroom. And I'm like, all right, let me use the bathroom, regroup, try to figure out what the fuck I'm doing. Mind you, literally, there's several times where I felt like I was going to crash my car, like prior to this. So like I'm kind of like in a bit of a frantic like state of mind. Like I'm calm, like I'm not like panicking, but I'm not like at ease at this particular moment. Um, and so I go in a pizza place. I just order whatever I mean, it says pizza, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll just order some pizza. Like I wasn't really trying to eat anything over there. I was just like just trying to order something so I can go to the bathroom and then like back in my car and just regroup and try to figure out where the fuck I need to go. Um, and so, and mind you, like there's like a group of kids there, not kids, but well, teenagers, I'm assuming, either teenagers or young adults. And so like I'll just order pizza, whatever, and then I go to the and I ask to use the bathroom. So I use the bathroom and so I walk into the bathroom area and there's like it's like there's like a seating area, there's like an oven type of thing. It's like real like cozy vibes. And then there's like images of like babies in the place. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. But mind you, I'm thinking like I'm just trying to go to the bathroom. I'm just trying to get out of here, you know. Um and and mind like I'm like on guard basically. So I'm like, let me just use the bathroom real quick, get the fuck up out of here, take the pizza and go. And so I do that, use the bathroom real quick or whatever, and I leave. And so I go back to the pizza counter or whatever, pay for the pizza, leave a tip or whatever, because I'm just like, look, and mind you, I'm the only black person there. So there's a lot of things that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking like, you know, bitch, I just there's it's a fucking snowstorm. I don't know where the fuck I am. I don't know where I'm staying. Angie's in the car. I gotta, I gotta see if I gotta like change her stuff because like I don't know if she went to the bathroom or not or whatever. I gotta feed Angie. I have food on me, but it's not warm food. Um, and like, all right, the pizza is like the only warm thing that I have or whatever. I gotta use the bathroom, but I really don't even want to be here. Like I don't know nothing about these people over here, so I'm like a little bit on guard. And I made sure I was like, if need be, but and I'm really just trying to be in and out, and just figure out like where are we going to stay. So I get the pizza, pay for the pizza, and I like, and I figured like, all right, this is the only place that's open. And like, all right, maybe let me not be so like, let me calm down and relax a bit and just ask. Like, you know, um, I saw like there was like a hotel that was like available here. Do you know where it is or whatever? And the guy was like, no. There was one open behind here, but it's closed or whatever. And then like one of the girls that was in the group came up and was like, oh, there's a place in this area. And the guy was like, oh, but that's like an hour away. And, all these things. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. Let me just get up out of here. So I get in the car and I'm just trying to figure out like, what the fuck am I going to do? Where am I going to go? Um, and so I'm like, I'm looking up, mind you, it's snowing. Like it's still fucking snowing. And it's snowing, not like just like, oh, this is nice and pretty. It would be like if I were like indoors somewhere like chilling, but like no, I'm like in my car with Angie and I'm just trying to like figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do. And and so I'm gonna think like quick, like, okay, can I get somewhere before the like I don't know how much snow is supposed to be in this area. So I'm like, all right, let me let me just try to look up what's available in the area and see what's affordable that I can just like pay for a night or whatever the case may be. And so like I looked up this one place, I called them, see if they was open. They said they was open. I'm like, all right, cool. And then when I was trying to look up, bring up my GPS to get there, my phone was like out of service. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm like, and then there's a gas station across the street. So I'm like, my gas was kind of low at that point. And mind you, the last time I tried to fill up my tank by myself was a bit of an experience. But if my life were like the Truman Show, you get the script like 10 years in advance and you probably already know what the fuck was going on. But anyway, so I'm just like, fuck it. Let me just go over there and let me just ask for help, you know? And I really was like just trying to challenge myself to do that because in normal circumstances I wouldn't. I would just try to figure it out on my own. But I'm like, all right. So I get to the gas station and this black couple is across from the other station. So I'm like, all right, someone that looks like me. Um, even though like in certain instances that don't matter because you don't know if you could really if all skin folk is kin folk. You really don't know. And in my situation, I really, really don't know. But I'm like, all right, this at least gives me like a sliver of comfort. So I ask, I'm like, hey, like, can you like help me like, with the gas? Because last time I went to the gas station, I asked the gas station, I like, how do you do this? And they were just like, they just gave me like some bullshit answer. So I'm just like, all right. And so they helped me out, or whatever the case may be. Um, they gave me some vintage help. Um, and so, I'm out there brushing off the car like every few moments because like snow is just like keeps accumulating. And I'm like, all right, let me just fill up my tank of gas. And I'm thinking like, all right, if it comes down to it, if I gotta sleep in my car, then I know like I got a full tank of gas and I can keep the heat on. And, I don't know how long this gas station gonna be open, but I'm gonna at least, like fill up my tank and like figure out what I'm gonna do. And I think it said by like the snow would stop by the morning. So I'm like, all right, if I gotta like park up somewhere and sleep in my car, then the pizza spot is open. So I know I can at least get food there. I don't and I think there was like a mart, like a mart store at the gas station. I didn't go in there because at first I couldn't really tell what it was. Like you can't really see inside the store. So I just knew like the pizza spot was the only spot that got food. And it was cold. And the only food that I had on me, like I could have like better prepared meals, but like there were so many other things that I was doing and it just really just trying to like get as much done as I could within a period of time. So I mean I had stuff on me, veggies and like healthy stuff, which was good. Like it was better to have that than nothing. Um but it was cold, and it was cold outside. So I'm like, I didn't want to eat cold food. So I was like, fuck it, let me just, at least I got like the pizza, whatever. It's something. And so I like pull over, clear off my car or whatever. And I see this couple, um, get out their car and they're trying to like clear off their windshield with a sheet of paper. And I was like, my spidey senses tells me something's a little off here. And then there was a part of me, my first instinct was like, do they need help? You know? And then my spidey senses was like, let me not let me just chill. Let me help myself. Let me like get myself together. And so and then they ended up pulling off before I would have had a chance to go over there to help them anyway. So I'm just like, all right, whatever. And then so I'm clearing off my car um at the gas station. I'm like looking up, trying to figure out like see if I can get some service, see if I could, log into the Wi-Fi at the mart and see like, all right, maybe I can get to the hotel. It's like a 15-minute drive away, so it's not too far. And I see there's a lot of traffic in this area. Like people are just driving around. So I'm like, Y'all, all right, so maybe y'all used to snowstorms out here. Like y'all driving like y'all about that life. I don't know if it's a facade or not, but like it gave me enough insight to be like, all right, well, if people can move around in the snow, I know like I'm in a like a not a truck, but I'm in a like a medium-sized car. And as long as I'm driving carefully, I can get where I need to go. And I have automatic, like open, so like I should be all right. And so I'm in the car just trying to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do. And then the person at the gas station or whatever was like, you need to move your car because they about to like um um plow the parking lot or whatever. So I'm like, all right. So then I go back over to the pizza spot, and I'm just sitting over there and I'm just thinking like, all right, what the fuck am I gonna do? And and I got to a point where I was like, all right, well, I think, I just spent a bit of money on this gas, and I know my heat works, which is a blessing. The fact that I got a car is a blessing. I know there's people that's homeless that ain't got no cars. And so I was just really starting to think of like how I'm blessed in this situation. And I'm like, all right, I got gas and a car. Angie's okay. She's good. And so I'm sitting there. I'm like, all right, I got a little bit of food. I got, the veggies with me. I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna go. And I know there's a lot going on right now. And I'm just like out here fending for myself. So I'm like, fuck it. If I gotta sleep in my car, I'm gonna sleep in my car. If it comes down to that, then that's just what I'm gonna do. But I know I'm gonna be all right. And so, um, Angie, I let her off the bed, and she's like wandering in the car, and so I just kind of let her do her thing, and I'm just like, all right, well, I guess like I'll just eat this pizza or whatever, and just try to regroup and figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do, because this is what's on my mind. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's like other things going on, and but you have to understand, like, when you're constantly in situations that are like not like uncomfortable, but like you're constantly in things that test you, and try you and test you and try you. And you like constantly used to being in situations where like I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. And I'm sure like there's like more at play here because like my Wi-Fi rerouting, and if the circumstances were up to me, I wouldn't even be in that predicament, you know? And I feel like people forget that. People, you know, it's interesting, like just hypothetically, for example, like if you're in situations where people bait you into doing things or bait you into like being in compromising situations, people judge you for how you react when you're in a frantic situation, or when you're like in it, or you're like when you're e- like what's the word? Like you're jarred by something. Maybe that's the appropriate word for it. But like say you're in a situation where you're not expecting what the fuck is going on because you're going for one thing and then something else is happening, and somebody else has their own agenda. And people look at you for how you react to the agenda, and people don't look at why the fuck did they why are they being you to be a part of, you know, to do certain things. Or why are like, you know, like when people try to bait you into an argument, people will blame you for like falling for the bait, but why are y'all not looking at the people laying the bait? Because why the fuck are y'all doing that? And mind you, this is hypothetical. This is talking about like, just different situations where, being in like compromising situations, and and especially when you got like so much going on. Like, and again, to other people from the outside looking in, they can have a million opinions of, oh, you should have did this, and this really showed the type of person that you are, and this and that, blah blah blah. But I'm like, bitch, you wasn't living through this. It wasn't fucking you. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers got a lot to fucking say, but Bitch, you wasn't in a fucking snowstorm thinking that your car was gonna slide off the motherfucking road. So shut the fuck up. You know? Got a lot to fucking say. And to people who have been in like near death experiences and like bounced back, and unfortunately it's not my first time, you know? But I'm just saying, like, people always got a lot to say in judgment about how you react and how, handle certain things. And it's like, oh, you should have handled it this way. You should have did this way. Shut the fuck up. Like, half of y'all don't know what it's like to go through the shit that I be going through. And it's just like a game to y'all. Like, it's just entertainment. But I'm in like, it's a real fight for my dream here. It's a real fight for financial freedom. Just trying to use my talents to try to do good. And y'all know this. Like, and it really like, and I say that because, I see people online like judge people about being in compromising situations and then judging how people handle it. And it's like, y'all don't know what the fuck it's like to deal with the things that other people are dealing with. So if you ain't got no solutions, shut the fuck up. It's how I feel. And y'all act like y'all so perfect and like y'all get everything right and like y'all don't make mistakes. And I'm like, how about y'all live y'all lives in situations where people are constantly watching everything you do, influencing you, curating and creating these scenarios for you to be in. You're just trying to live your life. And you have other systematic things in play that say, that intentionally try to place you in certain situations or put you in certain scenarios that if it were up to you in your control, you wouldn't be in that scenario in the first fucking place. And nobody wonders or takes the time to question, why do organizations and why do systematic power structures keep trying to push narratives? Why do y'all keep trying to push these narratives that under normal circumstances wouldn't even be a conversation? Like, why do people shape their content, you know, set up, events and do these things on this frequency and then try to like judge you for how you react or don't react to the frequency? Why are y'all on the frequency? What are y'all doing to fix situations aside from just sitting up here passing judgment on situations that you would have never had the courage to even go through? Anyway, I say that to people who judge folks for trying to fight for their dreams and judge you for being in situations where you might not have had the best tactics or the best way to handle it, and you just trying to do the best you can with the limited resources that you got, and you going up against power structures and like being an independent artist going up against artists who are established artists signed to major labels and corporations with government backing, and you just one person just trying to figure this shit out. And people always got a lot to fucking say, but no fucking solutions. Judging people, oh, you should have went this way, you should have did that like this. How about you go through this shit, then tell me what the fuck I'm supposed to do as an independent artist? And people criticize like the music or whatever the case may be and say like, oh, you know, whatever. Sorry, I like the hookah music, but I don't make it. And the songs that I write are about my actual experiences. And I try not to like And the thing is, like, I'm really trying to learn and grasp the fact that I can't live like other people. Like, I can't just make angry songs as much as I want to, and I'm learning that in real time. Like, for example, like, if you went through somebody's diary, of course you're gonna find something that you would be like, I don't know, remiss about. And it's like, well, yeah, it's a diary. And, sometimes I write like thoughts and songs and stuff like that. And for the last few years, I've been in constant circumstances that has angered me. And it would anger anyone else going through the things that I've been through as my experience as an independent artist, as a Black woman in America. It would piss anybody else the fuck off, especially when, you're just trying to carve out a lane for yourself and people try to paint you out as to be like the angry Black woman, or, try to paint you out to be complicated or problematic, and really, and you don't even know why. You don't even know why. And then when you realize the things that people say about you behind closed doors when you're trying to do deals and stuff like that, it's like, your perspective of me is not my truth. And for as much as people be like, tracking your moves and watching your social media, try to copy what you do and copy your art, you would think they would have enough common sense to peep that. Like, you know, but anyway, that's beside the point. I'm going on the tangent here. I'm just speaking of frustration of being misunderstood. And especially when it's like, y'all see the things that I stand for. I'm not one of these people that's out here like going out of my way to aggressively attack people. Again, usually I'm reacting to some bullshit. And most times it's after I've tried to support people. And it's like, when people constantly have to go out of their way, literally go out of their way to impose agendas that wouldn't even be a part of your journey or your path because it just wasn't even on your frequency. Other people have to put this frequency out there. It's not even your natural frequency. It's not even, you know, that's not even your vibe. But anyway, so I'm out there. I'm out there, just trying to figure out where I'm gonna go, and I was hoping that I would like be on the path that I was trying to get to so I can get to a space where I can work on my set list, and work on my songs like Correspondence and Breaking Out the House and anything and Birds and Ambition, but whatever. Um, so, I have other things that I'm thinking about in this particular moment in time. And so I'm in the car and I'm just like, okay, well, I mean, I got the pizza. I just spent this money on gas. I don't want to spend much more money because I don't know how much this room is going to be. And then plus, like, I still need money for when I get where I'm trying to go. So I'm not trying to like, the whole point of me bringing food was so I didn't have to spend money, but I was forced into spending money because that's the only way I could have used the bathroom in this place or whatever. And I'm like, well, fuck it. If I got the fucking pizza, then I'll just eat the fucking pizza. Um, and I'm in my car. And so I was gonna read, but one of the books that I was gonna read was like packaged in one of the bags that was in the back, and like it's snowing, so I'm like, I don't feel like going back up there, so I'm just gonna chill here for a little bit. And so I got like my tarot cards or whatever. And so, um, um, well, for a second, I was like sitting in the car and I was listening to my music, and I was just kind of like in my thoughts and just like thinking like, all right, you know what? If I gotta sit here, if I gotta like sleep in this car, then I'll do that. But let me just think on my blessings right now. Let me just be grateful for the fact that I got a car, and let me be grateful for the fact that I was able to even I had the money to fill up my tank. That's a blessing in itself. I filled up the tank successfully. Like I did spill gasoline on myself this time. So I'm just thinking about all the things that went right in this moment. And I'm like, all right, I got my health. I'm good. We're here safely. The car did not crash. Amen. God bless. Um, um, you know, and these people helped me out. Like, well, it wasn't these people. The lady went in the store, but the guy, he helped me out or whatever. And so, and I'm sure there's things to like, let me read between the lines or whatever. But I'm just trying to focus on the blessings in this situation. Like, I don't want to be naive to like, you know, the struggles, but I can't resonate on that frequency because that's going to have me like try like panic and all these things. And I didn't want to be in space of panic. So I'm in a car, and the people that was in the pizza spot, I think they were starting to leave or whatever. And it was a girl and a guy. And mind you, the guy, he got like shorts on. These are kind of people. And I was like, okay. And mind you, like, as ridiculous as the circumstances were, it gave me like a bit of reassurance. Like, I, I'm not too crazy. I'm not too crazy out here. Okay. Like, one, I wasn't the only black person that was out here. Who knows? Maybe they were paid from the Truman Show to be there. I don't know, but I'll take it. There's cars driving around. Like, there's people. Like, it seemed like it was a busy area. Not busy, but it was a lot of movement going on here. So I'm like, whether it's Truman Show esque or not, it's actual people out here. Like, y'all actually got to be out here in this fucking snow. Whether you want to be here or not. So I'm like, okay, I think I might be I'm gonna just chill here for a bit, and then just like regroup and figure out what the fuck I'm gonna do. And so I see the people in the car next to me. It looked like they was trying to like wipe off the car or whatever. And so I was like, I was, the first time when the couple at the gas station was wiping off their car, I was like, should I help? I don't know, whatever, maybe not. And so they were over here, they were right next to me. So I was just like, well, fuck it. I mean, if I could help somebody, then fuck it. It don't hurt to help somebody, I guess. And so I asked if they needed, to use the snow the brush is what I would have called it, because I wasn't thinking about all this extra, you know. Well, I mean, there was a lot going on, and I was thinking about, but I wasn't thinking about like the specifics of what to call this thing. And so I was like, hey, like, I have a extra brush if you need to use it, to wipe off your car. And they're like, oh no, we're good. This now I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. And so um I'm looking at my tarot cards. And when I take the cards out the deck, the devil card was at the bottom. And I was like, I knew it was the motherfucking devil getting me out here. Because I didn't want to be over here. I ain't asked to be over here. This was not a part of my plan. Okay? But whose plan was it? Y'all don't ask those questions. Maybe because you already know. Anyway. Um, so I'm like, all right. I knew it was the devil working his shenanigans. And then uh I look through the deck, and mind you, okay, so the thing is with the devil card, if you've never seen it before, it's an image of the devil, I guess. It looks more so like Baphomet. Um and hold on, let's bring some charge and blessings to my platform as I explain this. So there's an image of a woman and a guy naked, chained to the devil. And so I'm like, okay, there's different ways you can interpret that. One, you can say like, okay, like this is a low vibrational area or space, or um I guess my initial reaction again was to like be of service, to help, because that's what I'd be doing. It's not like I was out there like, okay, let me be in alignment with the devil. Because like, when have you ever seen me try to do that? Unlike some other people. But anyway, and I say that as an artist, because there's ways that you can get ahead by doing deals with the devil. And I don't know nothing about that. I just know I like inspirational songs. And every now and then I like to rap and talk my shit and be like, cocky and, whatever, because like that's hip hop and I'm a fan of hip hop, but whatever. So I'm just like, all right, well, maybe these people need help. And then the Ace of Wands comes out. So I'm like, okay, maybe that was me. Actually, okay, so I might be getting my timing a little bit messed up here. Um, I think I looked at the cards later on. This was the first time. Mm. And now that I'm thinking about the papers might have had some type of energetic situation. But anyway, but mind you, I'm not thinking about all of that. I'm just thinking about how the fuck am I going to get out this fucking snow and make sure Angie is okay? I'm a single cat mom out here just fending for my life, just trying to be an artist, singing my songs, not knowing that there's like some grander thing happening here. So anyway, um, so I I'm in a car and I'm looking at, so the rest of the group gets in the car or whatever, and they're like the windows, they're like, you know, making the windows go up and down. And so I'm thinking like, maybe they're just trying to clear off their windows or whatever. And then the guy comes over and he was like, "Oh, do you still have that scraper I could use?" And and mind you, at this point, like I was just like trying to chill in my car and just try to figure out like what the fuck I'm gonna do. And I was just like at this point, like, all right, well maybe I just gotta settle here. And I was like, here, type of thing. Um, and mind you, just trying to be helpful. Just trying to be helpful, you know? And mind you, I'm like, bro, you got shorts on, you ain't got no jacket. I mean, I ain't have the best jacket either. I had my freedom jacket on. Um, you know, because who doesn't want that, right? Um, who wouldn't support that? So I got my freedom jacket on, which isn't like the most sturdy because again, when I was like putting gas in my car for the other, um, I got like gas on my jacket or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Fine. So I give them the brush thing to use it and whatever. And so at that point, I think like there was a plow truck there, and then I don't think it was cops that was there, but it was some type of like a patrol type of situation, I think. And I was just like, let me just get up out of here, and get up out the way. Because again, right now, like I mean, I did see another black couple, but I'm still a black woman in America. And and even if you don't do nothing, people gonna find a reason to think you do something and like, whatever. So I look on my phone and see I got some service back again. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get to the hotel. And mind you, I'm driving through the fucking snow. It's still snowing. And but again, I'm like, I'm seeing all these cars come and go. So, I don't know, maybe they're from the area. It's only like 15 minutes away. I know it's probably gonna take a little bit longer because it is snowing. I just need to take my time and get where I need to go. So I'm driving in the fucking snow, trying to get to the motel. type of situation. And yeah, so I could barely see. I got, my headlights are on or whatever. And again, I'm like, let me just drive on the path of whoever was on the road before. I'm gonna be like at least like 20 miles an hour. That's where it's gonna be, you know. And there's enough room on the side for like a car to like, drive by if need be. Um, so but I'm not gonna let nobody rush me. That was the thing. Like I was like, I made sure that I was like, look, I'm not gonna let nobody rush me. I'm gonna take my time, get us there safely. And mind you, the first time, like before it got dark, before I got to that exit that I didn't want to go to, but before I got over there, I was like praying the whole way through. I was just like, Lord, bless this vehicle. I'm protected as I drive. May we get there safely. This is not the end of my story. If my life were like a Truman Show, maybe you already seen this. But then again, like I said, in my live stream yesterday, I don't know what people know because I can only imagine, like, when you watch reality TV, you only see an hour, but they're on set all day, and you don't know how the editors are going to edit. So that's why I felt the need to like really break down the story from my perspective and what the experience was like for me, because people could have these objective perspectives about, like, oh, this is what happened in this and that or whatever, or even have the script 15 years in advance. But whatever. So I'm driving and I think maybe take me like maybe like 25 minutes to get over there because I took my time. A car like, rolled by me because I was going very slow. And they were like zooming. And I was like, y'all could do that. I'm not though. Like you know. And the thing is, I'm sure I would have been fine, but I'm also keeping in mind like I do have like stuff in my car with me and I have Angie. And I'm not doing anything that's gonna risk me like sliding off the road. And and I'm just not trying to play those games with my vehicle because why do that? Play games with my vehicle. Um, so I get there. I get to the motel and I park the car, go to the lady, and I'm like, hey, I called earlier. I'm sorry it took a while. As you can see, it's snowing out here. And I didn't have service for a period of time, so I didn't know how long it was going to take me to get there. And so she was like, "Oh, well, there's another room for two that's available, so you got to pay a little bit more." So I'm like, "All right, whatever." But I was like, "Is there any way like I can get a discount because it's a storm out here? Like I am by myself, whatever." And she's like, "Oh no, this is the price." And I'm like, "Okay." Again, I don't make these prices. At first, it was supposed to be like 130 or something like that, but then it turned to 117 or 170 something. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go there. I go to I'm in the motel, and and I'm just like um cleaning up the area, just like packing my stuff or whatever the case may be. And I'm just like, all right, I got here safely. That's what my prayer was, and I'm here. So I like start unloading stuff from the car, and I wasn't unloading everything or whatever, um, but enough for me to like have my clothes and everything that I needed, and like food, and it had a fridge in there and the microwave. So I was like, all right, cool. I mean, I didn't really have much to heat up and eat, and I was thinking like maybe I should have got more food at the pizza spot, but then like when I when I was in the car and after seeing the whole like devil card thing, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. That was like kind of like the conflicting thing for me. Or after I've already like calmed down for like everything that was going on, and I was just like, yeah, no, I do want more food and I'm hungry, but like that's when I was like something about like the pictures and the this and that. I was like, it's not for me, And I already was like I had already ate the pizza at that point, and I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna like survive off my celery and broccoli, and yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out like, all right. So at that point, I'm just like, let me just try to like calm down. We made it here, and I I was just gonna read for a little bit, but then I was like, you know what? Let me like see what's going on with the world. And so, and mind you, this was during the TikTok ban, right? During the TikTok ban. TikTok was apparently banned during all of the time, right? Then TikTok comes back. And it was like, thanks to certain people, this is why this is here. And mind you, my battery was low at this point, and my like the charger that I needed, like the chargers wasn't working, and all these things. And I'm just like, whatever. And there was other people in the area that was like, I don't know, just like up and trying to pack and all these things. And there was just like all these banging noise and all. And mm, see, talk about issues with the charger. I rebuke it in the name of Jesus. And speaking of rebuking in the name of Jesus, um, I was like, you know what? It's a lot going on out here. I don't know this area, but I'm not gonna be in the state of like fear and panic. I'm just going to. I had watched this Cat Williams special that just like felt very in alignment with my current circumstance, because I had already started watching the special beforehand. And it was like him on stage with like like this hotel type of aesthetic, um and I was like, let me finish watching that special. And so I finished watching the special, and it was the comedic relief that I needed, because it was a lot going on, and I like not that many hours ago I thought that that was just going to be ending in a story, you know, and it wasn't, and so all haters, fuck y'all, bitch, I'm still here. um but yeah, it was the comedic relief that I needed, and I was like, just like stress the fuck out. And you know um I was just like, let me just like, settle in, get my like clothes ready and stuff like that. And let me eat something, try to figure out what the move tomorrow is going to be. And then after that point I was like watching, well, I wasn't watching the Matrix. I was trying to see what's on the TV. There wasn't anything on there that I felt was like, if they had like one of those channels where or my lips are like dry. But if they have one of those channels where, they have like the late night sermons, I'd have just put that on. I'd have just had that going on, and Lord, just let there be blessings in this space. And so they have that. They had channel six something and something else. And I was like, that's really not my frequency. So I had after I had watched the Cat Williams special, I was like, you know what? Let me just like be in my rehearsal mode, even though I don't know what the state of this show is going to be. But you know, and I had my guitar with me. So I was gonna like practice something a little bit, but I was just like just chilling for the most part. And So, I was just like, let me do what I need to do just to be in my artist space. And and then if not that, then I'll just like chill and read because I had Harry Potter with me. And that was what I was trying to read in the car. But I didn't know where I had it. And then so I ended up getting it out of one of my bags when I was loading up the the motel. So I was like, all right, then I'm gonna like just chill and try to relax as much as I can. But I ended up not doing that. And it was just like kind of like a lot going on energetically. And I was just like, you know what? Let me do my protective things. Just because I, again, unfamiliar with this area. I am very spiritual in that way and energetically, like, I don't know about the energy that's been here previously or whatever. So I'm like, I did my protective things and said my prayers. And I had the Psalms kind of playing like on YouTube or whatever. Just like had prayer, like um just hoping, not hoping, knowing that God was with me and praying for the protection of my angels and guides and the archangels and just spiritual elevation in that space. Because again, I'm by myself. I ain't really got nobody out there with me. Um, and I'm just trying to figure this shit out. And plus, like when that devil card came out, I was like, okay. And mind you, I was see, and the thing with me sometimes when it comes to like reading tarot, I try to be too optimistic. And I'm thinking like, oh, maybe these people need help, because again, like if you look at the image, it's like the people chained. And I was like, all right, well, I have my own battles that I need to worry about. But I care to help people. Because like I said yesterday, some people can think like, oh, if you're trying to be helpful, you're just trying to be like this and that. And I'm like, you just want to be a hero. Yeah. Yeah, I do. I do want to be a hero because I am. And it first starts with me being my own hero, and I like to help people. I like to put people in compromising situations. I like to be the type of person where if I see somebody in a compromising situation, if I can help them out, then I will. That's the type of person I like to be. That's who I want to be. But I've been in a space where like I really need to prioritize saving myself, being my own hero, helping myself out, you know, and breaking out of um cabinet suggestions. But you know, and I know sometimes it's like in certain situations it's just better off to just like leave it be. And if there's a flaw that's worth having, I rather have the flaw of making the mistake of being helpful than not. If it was a mistake that, or maybe I shouldn't have helped in this way, maybe I shouldn't have assisted this way, because although people might twist it and use that as an opportunity to take advantage of you or try to like, twist your efforts, make it appear to be this other thing. God knows my heart and I know my heart and I know my intentions would be helpful. And I feel like people with common sense, regardless of whether they like you or not, if they look at certain circumstances truthfully, they should have the common sense to see that. They should like, was I like intentionally, it's not like I was going over there to like break their car in. It's not like I was trying to crash into their car. No, I saw that they were struggling with their windows and I was like, well, I have something that might be able to help them, so let me help them out. So like if there's ever a way for me to be like foolish or like, you know, and if it's in the manner of me like trying to help someone else out, then I'll take that risk. I'll take that risk of like, you know, fall short for trying to be helpful rather than like being attacked or criticized for intentionally trying to cause harm onto people. Because that's never my intentions. Usually, if something were like that were to happen, it's because there's a bigger play at hand pulling strings, intending to do that. And I just ask that people have the confidence to evaluate situations like that and really think like, oh, you was doing this and you was looking at that. But I'm like, are you looking at the hands that's pulling the strings? Because from my perspective, not knowing the full scope of what all is happening, what I do know is that I saw that there was people that needed help, so I tried to help them, you know? And if there's other bigger plays going on, look at the people pulling the strings and moving the pieces. But anyway, because again, I wasn't making my GPS reroute, you know, service was going in and out based on the company that happens to be Boost Mobile that happened to donate to certain. Okay, if you pick up what I'm trying to put down. Anyway, so I'm in this place. I've said my own prayers. I'm praying for protection over myself. I'm trying to figure out like, all right, what's the next move here? Because like I wasn't expecting this snowstorm. I don't know if the show is still gonna be on for me to perform or whatever. So, um, I'm just trying to like figure out what I'm gonna do. And, I'm just having certain revelations of like, certain events that led up to that moment and that, like, just certain like clues that were being presented to me, subconsciously, downloads and notes and stuff like that. And, and I mean, certain things I wasn't able to piece together until like later on, but like just like even being in that scenario was just like infuriating to me because it's like, but at like part of me wasn't surprised because like I knew there was going to be pushback to my journey, but at the same time it's damn, like it's certain lines that it was just a lot going on. It was a lot going on because like I said, I really just try to help people, but at the same time I need to focus on myself and get my own life together. And you got fires in LA, snowstorms on the East Coast. Now there's snowstorms all the way down south from Houston to Mississippi to New Orleans, all the way to Florida. There's snow in Florida right now, you know, and I'm just trying to figure out how to fight for my dreams. And, if I had the time and energy to, like, if there was any way I could magically create a wormhole to bring water to LA and help in any capacity, I would because I care to do things like that. Despite, you know, being an independent artist and looking at other artists that are established and, made their millions and had their third or second or third homes in this area and seeing artists that were probably inspired by independent artists and they were the ones that elevated in their careers. But despite those things, when it matters most, if I could be of help, that's what I would want to do. And it's frustrating when, you know, you try your best to be like the bigger person and you try to get it right and you try to do the right things and people are so hell bent on trying to like put you in this box and label you to be this thing, and it goes against the clear actions of your character. And you know what's crazy? Like I was like reading up on this article about like, because these fires happen every year in LA. And then there's certain areas where it snows all the time, and there's ways that you could predict it like years in advance. So I'm like, okay, well, if as much as I be wanting to help and be trying to do the right thing, I'm like, if these natural disasters be happening in advance, or there's ways to prepare for them in advance, is what I'm saying. Why are we not looking at the people who know that these are potential occurrences years in advance? You looking at the small people that get caught up in these scenarios, and apparently y'all be knowing the script of the weather a while ago. And and it makes me think of like certain things when it comes to politics, and this is only bit when it comes to politics that I'll get into. Yeah, who is president, it does matter because they can affect law and they can affect certain changes, but there's even limitations with that. There's limitations with that. Presidents can't do everything. There are certain things where you need to go to Congress and Senate, and like, yeah, it might seem like it's a certain thing because Republicans have a majority, but it's like not by a lot, you know? And there's certain occurrences that happen through history and through time and history that repeats itself, where it really doesn't matter who's in office, because certain things with Mother Nature was just going to happen anyway. And it's just a matter of like, okay, if this person is in office, it's just a matter of their character, and if they have the leadership qualities to handle it how they can. And some of that might have an effect on our lives, but we have to have like the strength and the confidence to say, like, regardless of what's going on politically, like, that can't govern my life. That can't govern my body, my mind, my thoughts. Like, you don't have that permission. Not from me. You know, the government works for us. We elect these people. And it's like, yeah, you might be in a position of power and you might have money and all these things, but you work for the people. That's the top priority of that job. And, and and mind you, like, this was like all happening like the day before the inauguration, and it was Martin Luther King Day. It was Martin Luther King Day. And I've told the story many times of, you know, being not having school, but my mom making me like write about Martin Luther King Day. And and I'm grateful for that experience, because like, even though like I didn't have like the best relationship with her that I wish I had growing up as a young girl, I can appreciate those moments because you know that's why I get on here, and every now and then I get like into like a whole preachy thing, and talking about like inspiring the world and us coming together and fighting the powers that be for the liberation and empowerment of all people, because I care about stuff like that. And those moments, despite the many like illusions of the world, those moments like stick with me, and that matters to me, especially as a Black woman in America. And even though there's a lot of things that I don't know, and I'm, just trying my best here, I think it's really like fucked up to play with stuff like that, you know, with someone like Martin Luther King and what he stood for, knowingly. you know? And, and like I said, like, even and, you know, people could highlight all the good stuff, and, like, when it comes to any relationship in life, there's always ways that you can highlight the good things, but we should still be, like, on point when it recognizing, like, who's for us and who's not. And, like, sometimes it could be tricky because people are really good at pandering and clout chasing and playing the game so they can get on the Truman Show and get their content up. But it's like, what do you stand for? What do you actually stand for? Not only, like, what do you stand for, but, like, when it comes to the things that you act like you stand against, do you really stand against those things because you're actually advocating for the, like, for example, like, okay, you don't like this person because they're against climate change, or so you think they are. But they're the main people doing things to try to, like, help the environment. But, you can look at their past and say, like, oh, I didn't like this part of your story in your past. And I'm going to hold that against you for the rest of your life, even though you probably do more than I do to give back and help. And while I'm criticizing you for being against climate change, I'm not doing a damn thing to help climate change. That's what y'all sound like to me. And it's like, as much as we want to, like, place judgment on one another and attack people and, like, wish death on folks and all these things, you know, what are y'all actually doing to help? What do y'all stand for? Or are you just complaining to complain? How are you being the hero in your life? Or how are you being the hero in somebody else's life? Or are you just being hateful? Because to me, it seems like y'all be more in alignment with the devil than the people that you be trying to say and call devils, is what I'm saying. So, like, like, it's easy to pass judgment. It's easy to, like, criticize people. But it's like, all right, well, what are you doing to fix the situation then? What are you doing to help? That doesn't have to be in alignment with hatred and attacking people and being aggressive and trying to hold other people down so you can come up. That's not liberation, and I don't claim to be perfect. I don't claim to be perfect, and but I know that I try to do the right thing as much as I can and make mistakes, and and it's a lot that I do. But if anything, I should be more selfish. But a lot of times the things that get me caught up is when I was constantly putting other people first, when I was constantly holding myself back, trying to save other people that I knew couldn't save me or wouldn't. And there's yet to be anybody that's willing to tell me the full truth about certain situations. Like, this whole, like, speaking a cold thing and all this stuff is like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't understand why y'all be giving folks a hard time because they don't understand your convoluted language. Like, say what it is. If it's one thing or if it's another, like, just say what it is. Like, because I'm not, like, at this point, I gotta put me first, Lucius. And, like, there's many a times where I've, like, shown up and tried to care for people that like, couldn't care for me. And not that I needed it back, but yeah, no, actually I do. I do. Because I know some people say, like, "Oh, give without expecting things in return." That's one thing, but it's another thing when it comes to relationships and love. And when you love people and you show up for people and you try to prove yourself to people, and they constantly put you in situations where they're just trying to take advantage of you and manipulate you and lie to you and confuse you, like, They're not worth that energy. And for me, it's like I'm done trying to decipher like who's an ally and who's not. If you an ally, be an ally. If you not, then stay over there, and that's okay. That's fine. But stand on something. Like I've said that before, and I'll say that again. A lot of y'all don't stand for nothing, and it's one thing to like for example, when it comes to politics, for me, like I've leaned on a liberal side, but I choose to be independent. I've been independent for a few years now, and it allows me the space to even consider conservative perspectives. Now, there's some things that I agree with conservatives, and there's things that I disagree with. But for the most part, I've leaned liberal, and I did not vote for that man. And if I could do anything in my power to, be on the 92%, I was 92. But this is the situation at hand, and I try to be optimistic, and I try to see the best of what's going on in the country, not just for me, but for everyone. And I think it's important to be open-minded to other perspectives that are not your own, and different people's opinions and their people's backgrounds. And it bring me back to this point that I said in the last live stream yesterday about Bishop Marianne Buddy. I think that's how you say her last name. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. The thing that's brilliant about her sermon was that she checked Trump. She said it was a plea, but I'm going to say she checked him humbly, lovingly, respectfully. She wasn't aggressive with him. She wasn't rude. She wasn't, you shouldn't be the president because I think you're an awful person and what you're doing is awful to these people. She did not approach him in that way. And it really takes somebody, like I said, with maturity and self-awareness and just like security within themselves to hear that and say, you know what, I might not agree with everything she's saying, but I'm gonna listen to what you got to say, and I'll consider it. But if you're like, it's one thing like, and I don't think there was like any hidden agendas or anything. Like what she said was what she said, and it was clear. It wasn't like I'm saying a nice thing, but I'm really having like a devious intention underneath. No, I truly think she meant everything that she said, and what she said was genuine. And with that, knowing that she might not agree with what he stands for and what he does, she approached him from a space of love, from mercy and compassion and empathy for people that are different. Because she said there are people within the LGBTQ community who are Democrat, who are Republicans, who are independent. Regardless of whether you're Republican or independent, if you're the president, you have to look out for everybody, even the people that didn't vote for you. You have to ensure the safety and the well-beings of all Americans, even the people who didn't vote for you. Because that's the quality of true leadership, which means looking out for and being kind to and being considerate of people who might not have the same beliefs as you, who might not be in the same path as you, who might not agree with the same things as you. And that mindset is why I help those people. Small gesture. just giving them a brush to clean their car. I don't know these people. I'm a black person. It was a group of white kids. I'm not from this area. I'm from Jersey. I'm assuming they're from this in New York area. I don't know their story. They shouldn't know my story. If my life were like Jim Show, maybe they might know a little something. But I'm saying, like, I don't know where they stand politically, and it's not my business. But I just knew we all were in the same snowstorm. And they looked like they needed help. And I had something I could have potentially helped them. And that's what I tried to do. So, I mean, yeah, long story short, got to the hotel, you know, had a few TED Talks out loud because that's how geniuses talk, apparently. That's what they say about Einstein. And talking to themselves out loud is what I mean. I got home. The show was canceled. And I came back home. And you know, took a moment to regroup myself. And yeah, that's my live stream. That's it. That's the story. I survived the storm. I drove home. I mean, there's more like tales that I can get into it about like driving home and not using GPS and reading billboards and the signs and all those things or whatever. But either way, I got where I needed to go. I'm here. We're safe. Um, and I'm mixing and mastering, breaking out the house. I'm still working on my single. It's available on SoundCloud, and you can listen to my music, Correspondence, and Breaking Out the House. The demo version is on there. I'm working on the official mixed and mastered version that should be available on DSPs eventually. Because regardless of the shenanigans of my life, I'm still a creative. I still love to make art, and I'm going to make art and, make stuff that inspires people to say, fuck the bullies. Um, and, the people who try to do you know, malevolent witchcraft. Um, and make sure they stay out your brain. So yeah, that's the live stream. Much love to y'all. I will say a prayer because I feel like I talk too much about the devil, but I did talk a lot about prayer though, and prayer is what got me through that storm. You know, through the storm when I was out there in the snow, thinking I was going to have to sleep in my car. Um, I was just thinking like, all right, what's the things I could be grateful for right now? What are how am I blessed in this particular moment right now? Back to the motel, had prayer going through the whole way through. So like I knew like I was prayed up the whole way through the storms, despite like the negativity and all these things. Like I knew everything in my power and how I could use my voice and my energy. I was praying for protection and guidance from God and for the protection of angels and my loving ancestors and the archangels and the saints. That's the frequency that I chose to be on. And despite everything else that was going on, that was not my choice um, of the situation. And and despite the fact that I needed help, and there was somebody that helped me, and I'm grateful for that, regardless of intention or like their backstory or anything. Someone helped me, and I appreciated it. When it came to me refilling my tank, and I was in a position to help somebody else, and that was my intention. That's what I tried to do, and that's what I did, regardless of whatever their intentions and stuff was. I needed help, and I wanted to be help to somebody, and I spent that whole time trying to pray my way out of that scenario and that situation. So, yeah. Anyway, um, God bless y'all. I'll keep it short because I already kind of expressed that. But you know, may we all be protected. May we all be blessed. May you all travel safely. Check the weather for those who are in these snowstorms. You know, drive safely. To the people that are still in LA, you know, I'm still praying for y'all. You know, it's just I got a lot going on in my life. But I wish the best for y'all. I hope that y'all are doing okay. Praying for the families. You know, single parents out there, the kids, everybody. You know, may everybody be safe. May they be protected. If there's anybody that's having issues like reconnecting with family and stuff like that, like I hope you all, um, you know, find who you need to find. Um, and I say that, you know, specifically as an artist that makes organized sounds, um, for freedom. And yeah, I know there's a lot going on in this world, and I really genuinely want the best for us all. Like, I don't want to see us hurt. I don't want to see us in pain. You know, even when I go through frustrating circumstances, situations, like I don't want people to be in pain. And especially with everything that's going on with immigration, I pray that, you know, families are able to stay together. I hope that people have proper documents and may they be blessed and covered and protected and, you know, they get where they need to go. And again, like the bishop said, like, may there be compassion for people who are fleeing spaces of war. And instead of creating wars, may we create spaces of safety, of safe havens, safe spaces for people that might not look like us, just to be of service to help people, because it's better to be helpful than to be combative. So it is, so will be. Gratitude for spend. Amen. I mean, Ashe. Have a good day, y'all. Much love to y'all. And you know what? Just because I'm at 2:02, I'm gonna let the minute go on. Um, you know, because the frequency of it all. You know, I probably could have ended it right there, but whatever. Anyway, um, yeah, because you know these numbers be playing games, and I don't be having time for the shenanigans. But and you know, but canceling the Matrix though. Not the movie, but the actual systems that try to keep us ignorant and you know all these things. But you know, that was my story time. I hope y'all enjoyed the story. Hopefully y'all can learn from my mistakes. Um, and yeah, like, what y'all stand for? You ain't gotta tell me, but that's between you and the God that you serve. What do y'all stand for? And are you gonna fight for it, or are you just going to complain and critique other people and don't do nothing to help nobody? You know, it's a food for thought. Anyway, much to y'all.